It's the news at noon. In the news, President Muhammadu Buhari arrives Borno State on one-day working visit. Akwa Ibom Democratic Forum to inaugurate expanded state ESCO. Residents of Eda Street off Ngwangiba Road, Uyo, lament abandonment of road project and lack of electricity in the area. On the foreign scene, China inaugurates first crew of astronauts to space station. While in sports, Denmark midfielder Christian Eriksen to have defibrillator implanted following cardiac arrest. Details coming up shortly. Good afternoon and welcome to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Uyo, my name is Xavier Robert. We'll begin this afternoon with a report that President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in Maiduguri on a one-day working visit to Borno State. The president landed at the airport located at the Air Force Base in Maiduguri a few minutes before 10 a.m. He was received by the state governor Babagana Zulum and other top government officials in the state. The president is expected to address Nigerian army troops on the front line and commission some projects including 4,000 houses which were part of the federal government's housing project, as well as some local projects executed by the state government. Meanwhile, the First Lady of Nigeria, Aisha Buhari, has stated that the resurgent need towards making the voices of African children heard. Speaking at the celebration of the Day of African Child 2021 in Abuja, the First Lady, who was represented at the event to mark the day in Nigeria by Special Assistant to the President and African First Lady's Peace Mission, Mairo Al-Makura, said it is sought to note from research conducted by some organizations that Africa has the largest number of child laborers, which states that 72.1 million African children are estimated to be in child labor and 31.5 million in perilous work. She lamented that in most African countries, the voices of children have not been heard, insisting that certain cultures and norms and the complexities of their current and past realities put the children on the continent at a disadvantaged position. Aisha Buhari said it is disheartening that the African child is portrayed as one whose future is bleak, stating that her concern is the right of a child to healthy living, right to care, and right to go to school without fear of the unknown. According to her, to ensure that the African Charter for Children works, it is the responsibility of all stakeholders to play their role effectively and work together to make Africa great. Away from that, Minister of Transportation Rotimi Amechi says the federal government has repaid up to $150 million out of the $2 billion Chinese loan borrowed for rail construction. Amechi disclosed this during an interview. The administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has been heavily criticized for borrowing billions of dollars from the Chinese government. However, speaking on the matter, the minister said the Buhari administration has only borrowed for the Kaduna-Abuja and the Lagos-Ibadan railways. The minister also said the Chinese are still in charge of the rail services on the Abuja-Kaduna and Lagos-Ibadan lines. According to him, the Chinese drive the trains and will hand over to Nigerians once major areas of operations are checked. In a separate development, the Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has urged the House of Representatives to include regulation of Twitter in the National Broadcasting Commission Act. The minister made the call at the public hearing on a bill to amend the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) Act, organized by the House Committee on Information. The call by Mohammed is coming on the heels of the restriction of Twitter by the federal government. The recommendation by the minister minister was opposed by others who spoke at the hearing. The executive director of the Institute of Media and Societies, Akin Akingulu, lamented the lack of independence for NBC. He called for more powers to be stripped from the Minister of Information and for the independence of NBC to be guaranteed. Akingulu also called for the confirmation of the Director General of the NBC by the National Assembly. He noted that the inclusion of Twitter and others as categories of broadcasting services licenses will be injurious to the civic space, freedom of expression and media freedom in Nigeria. Back here, Akwa Ibom Democratic Forum, ADF, a burgeoning political support group with interests in the All Progressives Congress APC and the political career of Senator Godswill Akpabio, is set to inaugurate its expanded State Executive Committee tomorrow, Friday, June 18, 2021, at the Share Grace Arena, Nzikagedwak Avenue, Uyo, by 12 noon prompt. According to a press release signed by Directorate Media Affairs, ADF, and made available to Planet News, the expanded State Executive Committee, which boasts of members across the state, would be inaugurated by the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, who is the grand leader of the organization. Akwa Ibom Democratic Forum, ADF, was first muted in Ikot-Ekpene Senatorial District, headed by a former member representing Abak Etimekbo Ikafeto constituency, Abongmem Ikberikbe Ekbo, with the Executive Committee of Ikot-Ekpene Senatorial District formally inaugurated by Senator Godswill Akpabio on February 20, 2021. Eket and Uyo Senatorial District ESCOs followed suit and were also formally inaugurated by Senator Akpabio on April 13, 2021, amidst pomp and pageantry, demonstrating the popularity of the group and public acceptance of Senator Godswill Akpabio as the grand leader of the organization. ADF, whose motto is dependable leadership, submits that it is poised to change the prevalent leadership narrative in the state and has adopted Senator Akpabio as a fitting equivalent of dependable leadership. The expanded State Executive Committee has 51 state executive members, 31 local government area coordinators, and 43 elders advisory councils spread across the nooks and crannies of the state, equating the organization as a body with democratic ideals. The group has thus pledged to mobilize at least 1.5 million voters for the upcoming election in 2023. On our community news, residents of Eda Street, also known as Uduk Street, which houses the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA off Nwangiba Road, Uyo, have lamented abandonment of the road project it said was flagged up in 2019, as well as protracted lack of electricity in the area, with a plea on government to send respite to the community. Speaking with Planet News, the respondents narrated their experiences so far.
I don't know whether government doesn't know something about this Edas Street, as well as this drug enforcement, because they were the people to come say and tell the government how the street they were using is. The electricity is too bad. We don't have lights.
The street, Philip Passy Street, electricity since 2018, there's no light here. And this inside, the transformer, where person dash community, the transformer is spoiled.
3 years now, we don't have light here. Due to don't have transformer, we only manage and start generator.
Actually, it's like 2 years. We are running gen like almost every day.
They say that the former transformer that they had has problem and they're going to replace a new one, but since I've been heard of that, I've not seen any step that both the community and the government has taken to place. So we have been in darkness for quite a long time.
They pleaded with government to intervene in the community by providing them with a new transformer and also sorting out the abandoned road project.
I don't know whether the state government can assist us, because around the village this thing, I can't see any improvement, no commitment, nothing. We are using Legary's Benz. It depends on the people that are using cars.
I'm pleading for the government to come assist us anywhere they could. They should help us, especially the road and the electricity. Other things government have done very well to us.
Bringing a new transformer.
The government new transformer.
I'll be very happy, very excited if the government will help us to bring the light.
You are listening to the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. Let's take a breather and then bring you more stories from the foreign sports and entertainment scenes. Do stay with us.
Hit music. Brand new hits. New music. Trending and still banging.
Can't get enough of it.
On Planet 101.1 FM, Uyo.
Thanks for staying with us. And now on to the foreign scene, where China today launched a spacecraft carrying 3 astronauts up to the core module of its new space station for the first time. The spacecraft Shenzhou 12, carrying Chinese astronauts Nie Haisheng, Liu Boming and Tang Hongbo, blasted off from the Jiuquan spaceport in the Gobi Desert on Thursday morning. Chinese state television showed live images of the launch and of the spacecraft as it unfolded its solar panels in orbit about 15 minutes later. The astronauts opened their helmet visors and waved at the camera. They will dock at the Tianhe core module of the Tiangong space station, which is due to be completed by the end of 2022. The trip marks the first manned Chinese space mission in 5 years and marks the latest step in the steady expansion of Beijing's space program. The country has further missions planned for decades ahead. In sports, the Danish Football Union DBU has announced that its star Christian Eriksen, who suffered a cardiac arrest during his country's Euro 2020 opener last weekend, will have a heart defibrillator implanted. The Inter Milan midfielder collapsed and required CPR during Denmark's game against Finland in Copenhagen, where he remains in hospital. DBU provided no details on the potential consequences for the 29-year-old Inter Milan player's future career. The announcement of the medical procedure comes hours before the kickoff to Denmark's next match against Belgium, where a tribute to the Danish number 10 is scheduled to take place in the 10th minute of the match. Still in sports, Gennaro Gattuso of Fiorentina have agreed to part just over 3 weeks after the former Italy international was appointed as coach of the Serie A club. The club said on their website that Fiorentina and coach Rino Gattuso have decided by common consent not to follow up on the previous agreements and therefore not to start the next season together, adding that they would immediately set to work to identify another coach. And on the entertainment scene, the Yaba Magistrates Court in Lagos State has declined granting the bail application brought before it by embattled Nollywood actor Olanrewaju Omiyinka, popularly known as Baba Ijesha. Baba Ijesha was taken to court in a Black Maria vehicle of the Rapid Response Court. He has been in police custody since April 2021, when the Lagos State Police Command announced his arrest for allegedly sexually assaulting a 14-year-old girl in the care of popular comedian Adekola Adekanya, otherwise called Princess. It's been the news on Planet Radio 101.1 FM, Uyo, but before we go, a quick recap of the major stories. President Muhammadu Buhari has arrived in Maiduguri on a one-day working visit to Borno State. A Akwa Democratic Forum, a burgeoning political support group with interests in the All Progressives Congress and the political career of Senator Godswill Akpabio, is set to inaugurate its expanded State Executive Committee tomorrow, Friday, June 18, 2021, at the Share Grace Arena, Nsikakadwag Avenue, Uyo, by 12 noon prompt. Residents of Eda Street, also known as Uduk Street, which houses the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency NDLEA of Wangiba Road, Uyo, have lamented abandonment of the road project it said was flagged up in 2019, as well as protracted lack of electricity in the area, with a plea on government to send respite to the community. On the foreign scene, we told you that China today launched a spacecraft carrying 3 astronauts up to the core module of its new space station for the first time. And in sports, reported that Danish Football Union has announced that its star Christian Eriksen, who suffered a cardiac arrest during his country's Euro 2020 opener last weekend, will have a heart defibrillator implanted. For comments and coverage of newsworthy events, to call our newsroom on 0812 7702940. Visit our website on planet101fm.ng and follow and also like our Facebook page at Planet101FM Uyo. The news was edited by Jane Uwa. Before we end the news, be reminded that there are no limits to what you can accomplish, except the limits you place on your own thinking. My name is Xavier Robert, wishing you a terrific afternoon.